Okay. So I'll right to go, Kelly?
Absolutely right to go. Thank you to everybody who's joined us. I'll pass over now to Kristen, who's going to go through digital programming.
Fantastic. Thanks, Kelly. So I'll introduce myself firstly. My name's Kristen Hebel. I'm DCO at the Goona Public School, and I partner that up with doing the APC, and I roll the other 3 days a week. So I've been at the school for about 8 years. We're a school just on the outskirts of Albury. We've got about 628 students as of today, and about 90 staff overall in different roles that we support here, and 26 classes that we support. So in the past few years, I've worked in an RFF capacity as well, teaching the digital tech and science syllabus through that. So that led nicely into the DCO role. Our school self-funded a second DCO day. So we've had 2 DCO days over the past 2 years, which has helped to get things going. So personally, I've been using OneNote since about 2018, 2019, and initially started using templates by, I think it was Beck West and Pip Cleaves had done some early on, and I was using those, and then started creating my own. But to get to this point, and the model that I'll show you today, we've gone through a lot of problem solving, a lot of challenges, and I think we've worked out a way that works best for us. So our journey started off around the time of COVID. So when everyone sort of went digital at that time, we ended up in a couple of different groups almost within the school. Some chose Google, some chose Microsoft. We started off into OneNote and exploring everyone in their own way and their own time. I tried out that a couple of years ago, staff teams and staff notebooks. So we had a go with using Staff Notebook. We recognised we wanted to be more collaborative, but we had lots of challenges and issues that we faced. So one main one being that the programs were all saved privately. So it meant that individual teachers had different programs. They were inconsistent. There was some challenges and trouble sharing programs between different staff members, and for supervisors to jump in and see them. At the end of the year, we had lots of challenges around how do we export or upload links, or how are we going to save these digital programs. And one of the big ones was when staff changed and moved to different roles and new teachers came onto the class mid-year and so on, how we were going to transfer that program over. So this time last year, I started to set up the program very differently and started creating the masters within teams. So this has worked well for us this year, and I think it's a good model that we'll continue to go with. And lots of other schools have started to adopt it as well. So this year we're creating, creating our programs in teams, and we're creating class programs, not teacher programs. So that's what I'm going to talk to today. So I'm going to start off and go through the OneNote versions firstly, just as a bit of background as to how I helped with the uplift at our school so that it was easy for staff to take it on. We'll look at some examples in Teams of how you might set up just your team setup firstly, and then setting up your OneNote programs in Teams for the start of next year if you're ready to do that. I'll show a demo of what a large school versus a small school might look like. We'll look at a master school program and then moving that into collaborative and stage programs. I'll go through some tips that I found helpful with my PL for staff last year and share some resources around that. And we've got a shared template that I can share with you. So mine is just a template, but I've also got Alyssa from Young North who's going to drop in because she's done some wonderful things with programs using the new department units of work. So she can have a wave and talk to those as well. And lots of hints and tips of things that I found help make it successful with your staff along the way. So because I am going to skim over quite a few procedures and things in this, I've got some videos embedded on this slide, just YouTube videos, to help with things like changing your default apps, creating section groups. So if I skim over something, you can come back and look through this later. If there's something I skim over as well and you do want more information, let me know and I can do a little video and add it to this page as well. Or Kelly might point out in the chat if questions come up, and I can come back and do a demo of that as well. So before I start, one of the big challenges we found with OneNote when doing a lot of PL and starting to get into it last year were the different versions. So there's so many different versions of OneNote. And we've I acknowledge that OneNote for desktop, which was the old 2.16 version, is the one that that Microsoft are investing in and supporting and building up. But I just want to point out why we are not using it and why we're using Windows 10 as our preferred one. So we use it in lots of different ways. So if we look at the online, this is the browser version firstly, this is a good one for jumping into just quickly, if you're just doing a read-only type thing, to view, to access quickly. I used it in the RFF role because I could just go through my staff links page, click on OneNote in the browser. No matter which computer I'm on or anywhere in the school, it would always get me through nice and quickly and easily. And the browser version worked well for that. We use the iPhone version, so teachers download it onto their phones, and that's really great so that they can jump into their program anywhere, anytime. Might be sitting at the Jelly Bean table, they can quickly jump into their program, go to their fluency read. They can record the students straight in there, straight into their program straight away, and it gets away from having to then take a photo and think, how am I going to upload that, and then having to remember to come back and upload it. You can annotate with your finger straight onto it. So because we were using it with the phone online, I then found it very tricky if teachers were jumping into the 2.16 version or the desktop version, which looks very different. So for the main reason that we wanted them to look the same, we chose then to use Windows 10 desktop as our main version. So we're using it for things like, here we've got video, the RAG team came out and videoed some of our staff working and made a lovely video. This is Hayley, and she's taking photos and putting them straight in there of her students straight into her program. It's a working document. These are our MLDs and all our RAG devices here. So she's just digitally inking straight onto her program, straight into the desktop version. When I'm building programs, transferring pages between programs, desktop version is a version to use. So for the reason that they all look the same, we've chosen to use this version. So first thing for staff, I'd say, is make sure that you have a consistent version, and it helps with the confidence as they start it. So a top tip, though, is that when you've got all staff together in one place, I'd suggest maybe running through how to change the default. So I have got a walkthrough video if you're not sure. So ensure that their RAG laptops, that their MLDs all have that default through to the version that you want to use. It'll help support the uptake, especially with staff who are struggling with the tech to start with. I've got a video here, which I'm not going to show now, but if you did want more information on how we use the different versions at school, so how you could use it on your phone and so on, you could watch that video later. So a little bit about team structure. So when we set up our teams, it was quite important to do it right the first time, and we started before we did our migration to the cloud. So we started off with the template or the structure provided through the mentoring sessions. And we moved from separate stage teams. So I've got all the separate stages, including the RFF team and the learning support, have a channel that's the same, and I have a technology channel. And within each of the stage channels, the folders are set up exactly the same structure. So we found that important with teachers moving between stages, so every stage looked exactly the same. And in there, I created a folder called Programs in OneNote. So that's where I put their programs so they can find it. And just while I'm here, a couple of tips that have been my most valued ones at the moment was to use breadcrumbs. So I'm really into the emojis at the moment, you'll notice. So if you've got a team space that is really deep and lots of structure and lots of folders in it, things that you use all the time, I've started to put like these breadcrumbs. So to get into our PBL lessons, I'll put the folder, so when they look through 50 folders, they can easily find that the icon and emoji and follow that all the way through to the one they need. So that's been a quick tip. And Jared Burke got me onto templates in Teams. If you haven't used these yet, these have been a bit of a game changer for me. So we have things like our meeting minutes templates. I've got branded templates for in a word and landscape, a portrait and landscape. So you can, if you come into your new in Teams, and you can go add template, and you can add those templates that you use all the time. So then when you open up your space in Teams, you can really easily just put your PowerPoint template that you always use there ready to go. And you can come back and edit them in this option down here as well. So a couple of quick tips in there. So some different examples of how you might set it up. If it's a small school, I'd suggest just going straight into a folder that you've got set up, making your master, and then just copying it for each class that you've got there. And I'll go through and do a demo of this in a moment. If it's a larger school, though, like ours with our 26 classes, it's probably best to have your master template and then have your stage templates, stage folders set up, and then copying your master template into your stage template, the stage folder, and then copying it into each class one. So the idea is here, our staff work in the collaborative program. So all of stage 3 do their collaborative programming here, and then individual teachers copy it into their class folder, into their own program. You may not want to do folders. Next year, I probably won't do folders and just have it set up like this with the programs. We chose folders because we were going to keep other documents in there like PDPs and things. But as more stuff goes digital, we don't really need the folders. So probably wouldn't do that moving forward. So another tip there is just when you do copy, so this will be your master and you will copy it and copy it and copy it. Make sure that you do change the program names by right-clicking and going rename or clicking on the ... rename, and I'll show you that as well. Otherwise, when you open it in desktop and you want to switch copy pages from the master into your private program, you won't know which one's which. So make sure you rename. So program set up in Teams, I'll quickly show you how to do that, and then I'll jump out and do a demo out of the PowerPoint. So I created it firstly in a different channel so that it was a protected master that staff wouldn't see and wouldn't find and wouldn't edit, and then I copied it afterwards. Otherwise, I would suggest maybe setting it up and then making a backup somewhere else, because what you will find pretty much certainly is that you'll have someone in there who accidentally moves the page instead of copies the page. So if you've got a good backup somewhere else, you can always come back and fix it up later. So then in the stage teams, as I showed before, we've got this folder called Programs in OneNote. Then we have our stage folders with, so this is where we back up each year. So in a moment, I'll demo how we'll start a new year, but this year we've got our class programs in 2023. So we don't need to really archive or do anything at the end of the year. That just becomes the old one, and then we have a new one, which will be class programs 2024, and we'll start to work into it. So at the end of the year, it's not even an issue about handing in programs or archiving. It's just really easily moving from one to another. So then within that, the class programs 2023, we've got the master and then one for each class like that. But I might jump out here and I'll do a quick demo to show you what that would look like. So I'll come into Teams. Now this is a team at the end. Kelly's going to pop the link in the chat. If you'd like to join, you can then access all of these resources that I've got in here. So all the new ones that I'm working on today, I've put the same little icons so that you can easily find them. The PowerPoint that I'm working through is saved in here, so you'll be able to access that. And I've got a program template set up in here that you could have a look at, and I'll share that with you later. But I'm going to do a demo in here. So this is where I've done a practice setup. They're just dummy ones. There's no content in it, just to show you the structure if you wanted to see how you might set up for a small or large. So let's come into this demo one. So let's say this is this year's program. I'm going to come in and I'm going to set up a new folder, and I'm loving the new colours in Teams. Green for go. Let's get our new one set up. It's going to be class programs 2024. And I'm going to create that folder. Now last year I set my template up somewhere else, but this year I'm going to create it here and then I'm going to copy it out to give the backup, and I'll copy it even to another team. So to do this, I'm going to come in here. It's an empty folder. I'm going to click on new and I'm going to create my OneNote within Teams. So it's here, and I'm going to call this, I'll call it TPS because I can't think of another one quickly, but TPS Master Program 2024. So it's my new one, and I'm going to go create. Now, I don't want to create it from scratch because I have a good one from last year. So I'm just going to go close. So I'm going to copy some sections across from last year. So I'm going to come back into last year's program, or what I did want to do firstly is open this one, and always open in desktop. When teachers are having trouble, the first thing I say to them is, are you working in desktop? Because if they're trying to copy pages and create in the browser version, they're not going to have that option to copy. So I'm going to open that one in the app, and then I'm going to come back into Teams and I'm going to open last year's, or this year's program in the app as well. So when I've got them both open in the app, I'm going to come into the desktop app, and here's this new one, but here's one I prepared earlier. This is I'm going to imagine that this is last year's program. So now all I need to do to copy my sections across is to right click and go move copy, and then I choose this new template that I've just set up. It should be right at the bottom of the list. And I'm just going to go copy. And then if I come back and check that program, I've just copied that introduction section in there. With the structure of the template that I'm going to share for you, oh, that's the wrong one. And that's the wrong one as well. Too many programs open. With the structure I'm going to share, I've gone with section groups you can see here. And I like those because they give you then more hierarchy. So if you look then and you go into term 1, then you can have embedded. So you've got like all these different levels. It just gives you more options. To create these section groups, you will need to jump into your 2016 version, the Windows desktop version, to create your section groups. And that's one of the only times I go there. And then I'm going to come back into the Windows 10 version to do the rest of the work. So when I'm back in that this master, if I need to copy the section group, all of these, you can't copy a whole section group. I was just checking it wasn't going to prove me wrong. You have to create your section groups in your new program and then copy one section across at a time. If you're just copying pages like this, a quick tip is to click on the top one, hold down your shift and click on the bottom one, and it will let you move and copy multiple pages at once. Best tip I can give you here is to make sure you're reinforcing with your teachers to copy. When they go move copy, always click copy rather than move, because otherwise they're going to take it from the master on you. If that happens, if they're comfortable to let you know straight away, you can then come back and copy it from your template or move it back from their program, copy it back. So that's what I would do at the beginning of the year. Let me just come back into my team space. So now I would have my new program, my master program is, sorry, this is in my 2024. Here's my new master program set up the way I like it. I've built it in one space. Now I'm going to copy it across for the teachers in my stage. So if I've got folders for stages, I'd copy it into the stages. So, and this would be a K to 6 sample. So now I'm going to go copy to, and I'm going to choose the same folder, and it's going to tell me that it's there. You can copy to other teams, but one tip I found too, if you do copy it and put it into different levels, if you've got lots of hyperlinks, you might have trouble with your hyperlinks. So if you're having problems with links, reach out to me because I've done some troubleshooting around that. I'm just going to copy it into the same folder. Just got Kelly's face in front of that, so I'll just move that, and I'm going to go copy here. Move Kelly back. So I'm going to go keep both. And now straight away, though, I'm going to change the name of it as soon as it comes up. It's just taking a moment, I think, to copy. I'm pretty sure I did copy it to there, so it's just thinking about it. I might even try and copy another version. Let's see what that will do. Copy to, copy here. I'm pretty sure I said keep both last time as well. So it should pop up there. I'm not sure what it's doing for me, but then as it comes
sometimes it's just the size of the program.
Yeah, there's not much in this one, so hopefully it's not too big. But when I've done it every other time, it does come through really quickly. So just a bit glitchy at the moment. So then what I would do straight away is come in and rename. And if I'm copying it, if it's a small school, I'd copy it straight to the class name. If it's a large school and you've got stages, I'd make it a stage program. So I'd say master program stage 1, master program stage 2, and make sure that that name is different. And then once you've got that, then I would go into the stage 1 program and delete the early stage 1, stage 2 and 3 parts of the program to make it individual. And from there, if you've got that large school, then again, once you've got your stage template set up, go copy to and make copies for each of your teachers. Hopefully that makes sense. Kelly, is that pretty straightforward so far?
I think I can see like notes being taken and lots of nodding and stuff. So I think everybody's definitely getting some great tips there that they're learning from the way you've set up your school and things. So thank you for sharing.
That's okay. I'll come back to my PowerPoint then. And so I have got lots of notes in my PowerPoint, and you might even find if you go and look at the notes I've made for myself as well, you might get more information, but reach out if you needed me to expand on anything. So yeah, setting up the master program, I've copied across the admin sections from the existing file. I've set up the section groups in the 2016 or the Windows desktop version. Set up all the stage programs together so you can see how I've got all stage programs, but then when I copy it into the stages, I'll delete the other stages from that main one. Big tip here is to be patient because one of the big issues that you will have is that these larger files will take a while to sync. So make sure you've got good Wi-Fi, plug in a blue cable if you need to, and just be patient. Maybe do one every now and again, and then do the next one, because they will take a while to copy. And make sure you have saved or done the same thing and gone move copy and copied the whole master somewhere where teachers aren't going to see it. So as problems come up, you can fix that up. So then this is just sort of talking through what I've done then. One of the big advantages now then is that each class has got their own program. So having it as a class program, not a teacher program, was a huge advantage, because we have quite a big turnover of staff. So even in this list, we've probably had 2 or 3 classes with teacher changes. So the program belongs to the school, not the teacher, which is when it's saved on their OneDrive, it does. It's a class program. So if you've got multiple teachers on a class, RFF teachers, it's all there for the class teacher, for anyone to come and see. I've got access changed on these, so when the teachers look at it, they can only see their class, but that's something you might decide. I've got a little video to show you if you want to change that access, but exec staff can pop into anyone. So at any time in the APC&I role, I might jump into a program just to get an example of what their contextualising might look like, but you can access them all that way as well. And teachers can plan collaboratively in this master and then copy it into their own. So just some hints for professional learning. So this is I'll share with you a OneNote that I use. So to run professional learning on OneNote, I tried to always do that in OneNote. So I didn't use PowerPoint slides and things like that. I tried to use OneNote as my resource for the PL, and created something across the year that teachers could use and refer back to. So I'll share that at the end if that's useful in that team I've set up. I offered it intensively, so I had time on staff development days, time on staff meeting days to do larger PL. Then I still do tech tips at the beginning of each staff meeting. So just a quick 5-minute jump in. Here's a quick tip, a shortcut, or a new resource, or an update, or something like that. You'll have so many teachers at such different levels. So some who are really new to it. We've got beginning teachers. We've got experienced teachers who are not as tech savvy. So some ways to extend some of the more experienced ones. We did different breakout sessions in staff meetings where different teachers ran. We might have started to delve into class notebooks. So if they were already across their own personal OneNotes, then they were using class teams and OneNote within that for their classes. You could start to think about ways that you could use OneNote beyond programming. So having your program pages, but then starting to embed your resources within that as well. And just be mindful of forward planning. So who's going to maintain this moving forward? Who are the staff who know how to, who are good at setting up as well as using, and checking that new staff, as they come in, we have provided PL. So I've done afternoon sessions as we've had staff change over to make sure that they're able to use our programs that we've set up. I'll jump out and just show you where that is. So that will be in the team that you can jump into if you wanted to. And in the program ideas, I've got a OneNote that I've linked to there. So I have it open. OneNote information for staff meetings. So in there, I've got more information on the different versions and comparing features, how to locate the different versions of OneNote, how to switch between, how to create bits in OneNote with videos. I did a lot of, looking at all the different features. It's a bit messy, but you might create a neater one. We talked about the different levels of programming. So some staff early on were just happy to embed their Word documents. Then others were using printouts and annotating across them and using a hybrid, so a little bit of both. And then moving to the version that I'll show you now where we're actually creating straight within there. I had lots of appeal about the different types of things that you can insert in, if you're working with PowerPoints, how you can insert those, how to play with inserting some sway to be like subatizing flashcards and things like that straight within it, and some lesson ideas. So there's hopefully some information in there that you might find useful for your staff meetings as well. Let me get this right one open. And the next thing I wanted to show you was a shared template that I've set up. So to get to the template that we've found our best one, I consulted a lot with the exec staff and teachers, and we worked out exactly what we wanted to see in a program. So I'll share this template with you. So what we found was that one of the challenges with programming was that we had all these admin documents that all teachers needed to have in their programs, but we were all then having to search and locate and print out or upload or whatever. So I made one class links page that's the same, that links to the teen space where everything is kept. So all those admin docs, you can just add your own. This is just an image here, so you can delete it, but you could add your own hyperlinks there to everything that you need to get to quickly. And it will even link to places in Central. So I linked straight to Central. Personal admin section where you can keep, all your boss test number and your royal, your unique serial identifier you need when you do CPR that you never come back to except when you need it. All your different passwords and subscriptions, PDPs if you're doing them manually. There's information here. We've gone mostly online with those. With the new changes to the professional learning log, I've uploaded that with the information that came out around how to log your hours. We're working a lot on our exec staff having the program feedback sheets in there and a lesson observation template. You could save your leave applications from your mandatory training. Lots of class admin pages, new timetable suggestions that I've got from in the APC and I role from the new information coming out with your different component A and B and so on. Adjustments that you might need to make, and then all your other class admin stuff that you might have there. A daybook template. So I use this really heavily when I was on class and RFF, where I would just hyperlink to the different program sections. So each day I would just come and use this and annotate here, and then go back and annotate in my program later. So just copy and paste as you need to, and you can replace this when the 2024 one comes out. In the English section, I've got all the new scope and sequences here I've only uploaded the stage 2 and 3 here, but I've taken the department ones that they've sent out. So you'll see these are all the new texts that have been suggested as checklists, and then the scope and sequence there with the check boxes as well. Syllabus mapping pages. I've got so that stage 2 and 3 is there. Term 1, I created, I was showing you can create the whole thing and then delete it. So when I move this into the stage 2 program, I'll delete the other sections, but there's some masters here. It's not complete, but masters you could start with. So the program overview, how you might differentiate each component for your class. Component A, this one's filled out for Fantastic Mr. Fox. And then I do have and I've also done the fluency passages there, so they can use the immersive reader, which is amazing for this. They can use the line to move down to do their fluency reads. They can do their grammar by, picking out the nouns and adjectives, and having it electronically in your OneNote is a great resource. I've got the templates there for those as well, so I use the same template across the stages as well. So I'll leave that there to share. I've got the maths template. Again, all my math scope and sequences there based on the department ones, but I've put them into a Word document out of that horrible Excel, the Excel that they sent out. I've got my maths templates here, which are in line with the new units of work if you are contextualising. So what you can see with mine is mine are blank templates with some examples filled in. I've got the examples for other KLAs as well, and I will work on those. So even though these might be filled in, they're just examples so you can see how I have done it for the other KLAs. So my template I'm sharing is mostly blank, empty masters, but Alyssa from Young North has created her own template. So Alyssa, did you want to jump in and just quickly say hello? Or
hi, everyone. Basically, first of all, thank you. You've done phenomenal work. I've actually learned a lot from you and taken it into my own context as well, so you can personalise and make your own. Being mindful that the units were released for statewide purposes, I just made mine very plain Jane. So I have transferred all the publicly released units into OneNote, so that link's hopefully alive. I've learned a bit on the journey as well, so I've made sure that when I downloaded the unit off the internet, I housed it in a public space, which is a G drive, so that hopefully the links will work for you. So as you can see, it really was just a copy and paste, and I thought if I'm doing it and everyone's going to use it, then I'm going to share it. So the last one that I released does have all of K-2 and has term 1 of 3 to 6, and basically, I don't know where you are with your curriculum implementation, but you're supposed to contextualize it to your setting. So, adjust, take things out, put things in, but whatever is in the unit is in this OneNote. It's a package and it's available in the DCO channel and the statewide staff room. And that's basically it in a nutshell, but happy to answer any questions, or if anybody wants to message me directly or needs any help in the journey. We've also just implemented whole staff digital programming at our school. So it looks similar to TPS, but different as well. So there are different ways. So just take baby steps. A lot of the time I still have to refer to the analogy of, see your binder, it's just a digital binder, and inside here there's the different sleeves and the different sections. And then as already shown, when you click on that button and it shows all your books, that's your bookcase, because that does confuse people. It's sort of like, it's too much, there's too much going on. So I just go, this is your bookcase, where it is, and then when you go into our school one, this is what's here, and then so on and so forth. But yeah.
Fantastic. And I do acknowledge how much work it would have taken to do that, because I only did one unit and it took me a good part of a day. So that's why I thought it's important to call you out for all the work that you've done as well, Alyssa. I am mindful of time, so I'll jump back through. So I've got that slide there as well to acknowledge Alyssa's work that she's done with that. Some of my main tips, I'll jump back into this one, to support the uptake is to set the programming expectations. In that OneNote that I shared that I use for PL, I've got that in there as well. So just said that we expect you to try it, but we gave a bit of leeway as to how long it would take to get it up and to expect that transition time. Break it up into manageable chunks and do that tech tip to keep it going. Recognise individual preferences. So teachers do still want to be able to individualise and personalise. So and whether they want to use the units of work and upload them and annotate straight into the department Word documents, having that acknowledgement and letting them have that individual preference still. Always create your master somewhere. Troubleshoot early. So when you're first starting over, just look over their shoulder, check in, make sure they're in the right version, make sure that they're not having any trouble. Let them know how to find deleted pages if they lose them. This was a big one, is to take a team on the journey with you. So I've always had a distributed leadership model in the DCO role, being such a large school. So I made sure that with the programs that the APs had ownership of them as well. I negotiated with them to make sure it looked like what they wanted and would use. And I also had a rep from each stage who was quite confident with technology and OneNote programming, so that when we had a staff meeting, I could take one group and then I could give them different focus areas. And then, it's go over to this group if you want help with using your phone with OneNote, go over to this group if you need support with copying pages or changing a default. So have that learning team. And then if you do move on from the school or if you change roles, there's always other people who can continue it going, because it's such a big project and asset to take on that you don't want to lose it at some point, and you want to sustain beyond our role. So all of this information and the templates that we've talked about are in this channel. So I think Kelly might be putting it in the chat. I know I'm going over time. And then videos that might help you with some of those resources are at the end of that PowerPoint slide as well. So
I've just pop the link to the team and accepting all those requests right now, so everybody can jump in and access those resources.
Fantastic. So sorry, I've got a little bit over time, but hopefully there's some useful information in there to set up for next year in your OneNote programs.
Perfect. Just to clarify, because I know Carla was like, can I get a copy of the presentation? The slides are in the team. Perhaps we should just show where the slides are, because there's so much information.
Just stop sharing, but I'll just jump back on again. So in this team, if you join the team that I've set up, in the files section, let me just go back a level. The very first one, DCO Breakout, Digital Programming and Teams, I've got the PowerPoint there, and there is extra information in the slides as well. If you did click and look at the teaching, at the notes underneath, I don't usually use notes, but I did for that. There'd be a bit more information in there if you needed it as well. The sample is in here. So that's the OneNote program. So you would open that in desktop version and you can copy sections into your own program. And this is the OneNote that I use for staff meetings again. So you could set your own up somewhere else and you can open this in desktop and copy the sections into your own program. If you do accidentally move one, just let me know and I can pop it back in because I have it backed up.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for just unpacking where all those resources are. I think everybody who sent through a request, you've all been joined to the team. So the link is here in the chat. can I just say a massive thank you for taking the time to prepare all those resources and share them with everybody so freely, because I think everybody has been learning so many great tips to really help streamline that digital programming journey in their own school as well. So massive thank you from like the digital support team for jumping in and hosting a breakout session, and all the work that you've done to put together those resources. Thank you so much.
You're more than welcome. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Alyssa, for jumping in as well.
Now, I'm just going to stop the recording.